Okay. Good afternoon. It is now 2:07 PM, and I'm calling the special board meeting of Board of Trustees for the El Paso Independent School District for June 8th, 2023 at 2 PM to order. And we'll go to item number 2, action item. Consider and adopt an order authorizing the remarketing of El Paso Independent School District variable rate maintenance tax notes, Series 2020, prescribing the form and condition related to the remarketing of such notes and delegating certain matters to certain authorized officials of the district within certain specified parameters and resolving other matters incident thereto. Ms. Saavedra?
Yes, thank you, President Velarde and trustees. This afternoon, we're going to revisit a topic that we shared with you in the May 2nd budget workshop. At that time, we shared with you kind of the financial analysis of the current maintenance tax note that we have in place to fund the restoration project for El Paso High School. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Martha Aguirre, our CFO, so she can share specific information that we shared with you on May the 2nd, so that the board can now take action based on that information.
Yes, good afternoon, Board President, Trustees, Ms. Saavedra. So this afternoon, we're here to get your authorization as Board of Trustees to set the wheels in motion, so to speak, on our remarketing process for the El Paso High School maintenance tax notes. And we do have Ms. Maria Fernanda Urbina here, Managing Director from Hilltop Securities, to give you an overview of the next steps in this process.
Good afternoon, everyone. Board President, Board of Trustees, Ms. Saavedra. My name is Maria Urbina with Hilltop Securities, financial advisors to the district, and with me is also Paul Braden, who's your bond counsel. And we're here to give you a summary of the presentation that we already have given to you back in May. We've been working closely with your financing team to come together to do the recommendation for the remarketing of the Series 2020 maintenance tax notes. And so I've passed around a presentation, which I'm going to go over real quickly with you. So just to give you a little bit of background, as you know, you have some maintenance tax debt outstanding in around $52 million. There is one maintenance tax note, which is a variable rate tax note, which is coming for remarketing or step-up rate here in August 1st of 2023. Currently, you're paying a 2% coupon. On August 1st, that would be going up to 7%. So we're here today because we need to refinance this maintenance tax note. So what we have been doing since May, we've been looking at the market. We've been conversing with your financing team, looked at all the different options. We mentioned to you that one of the options is to take this out long and actually fix it out. The second option is basically to do another remarketing of the variable rate notes. And after a lot of deliberation and talking about the market and different benefits, I think the primary benefit to the district and what we really talked about a lot is the refinancing flexibility that you would have if you actually went back out there and remarketed your maintenance tax notes. Because if you issued long-term debt and fixed that out, you're basically locked for another 9 to 10 years where you can't refinance that. If you did a short-term variable rate note, then you might be able to do something earlier within the next 2.5 to 4.5 years. So that was really, the point of our conversation. And I think staff would like to move forward with the remarketing of the variable tax notes. Now, if you were to ask me what the current market conditions are, as you know, we are still in a very volatile short-term interest rate environment. And if we had priced this week, we're looking at a true interest cost for this deal of about 4.39%, okay? So what does that mean in terms of a one-year interest payment? That would be roughly about $810,000 a year. Now, like I said, within the next 3 to 5 years, if you go this route, we will be able to refinance at the rates at that time. So in order to move forward with this transaction, we would like to request a parameter authorization, which would allow us to issue and price at the right time. We would need to have a select group of pricing officers which would be comprise people from your executive financial team, and that would be your superintendent, your chief financial officer, and your treasurer. Now, as for the parameters, I do want to go over these just so you're aware. These parameters are going to be set in order for us to make sure that we stay within those. If we can't stay within those parameters, we will not price these deals, okay? So the first thing is we're going to make sure that we stay at a 16,975,000 maximum par. That is the maximum allowed. The maximum true interest cost, we're recommending at 5.25. As I mentioned, right now we're about 439. The final maturity date not to exceed February 1st, 2040, which is the existing structure that we have right now. And as for the term rate of the notes, we should not exceed the step-up rate at the highest legal rate available. And then we're also asking not to go beyond 6 years. As I mentioned, we have studied whether we should do either a 3-year or 5-year put. And at this point, we still haven't decided which one is the best one for the district. We still have about 3 to 4 weeks before pricing. So we want to make sure we study that. We are going to be meeting and sending reports to your staff on a weekly basis to make sure that they know where we are on the market until the day that we price. And so if they don't want to move forward because for whatever reason the market has turned around, you can rest assured that they have the flexibility to stop. Okay, so with that, I'm going to move forward with the last piece of information, and that is just the next steps. If the board decides to move forward with the remarketing of the notes, then we will be pricing these notes on July 11th and closing by August the 1st. And with that, I'm just going to conclude the presentation, and I'm going to open it up for any questions that you may have.
Any questions?
Should the, we should not be able to procure it as with these parameters? I guess at that point, Mr. Guida, you'd come back to the board and we would then make a decision on which direction to take or changing the parameters, is that correct?
Right, so if you approve the parameters, then we move forward. If your staff decides not to move forward, then we'll be back to you, we'll report back, and then we'll change course. So you have that flexibility.
And the timeline you said is a couple, 6 weeks, is that what you said? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I think I didn't say that the parameter authorization is for 180 days.
Okay.
Okay, however, we're thinking of pricing in 4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay.
So we will know before then.
Perfect, thank you.
My question is, the reason why I guess we are having to do this is because your recommendation to do this because of the short-term, long-term, and because of the change of interest rates? Is
That's
that
correct, ma'am,
primarily
because on
why?
August 1st, you would be stepping up to 7%. This way we can lock it maybe around 5%.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Acevedo.
Martha, how do you feel about this? I just wanted to get your thoughts on this, because, I mean, the short term sounds like the more appropriate thing, so how do you see this kind of working out with your role and coming back in 3 years and stuff like this?
So the team and I have discussed it as, individually as a group and then also with Ms. Urbina. And we feel most confident or comfortable proposing this variable rate at this point. This gives us also the opportunity that if in the event we were out to go for a bond in the future, we could add and take care of this financing process or piece through the bond as well. Setting a fixed rate would not allow us that flexibility. And based on the rates, the change is not significant.
Just my question regarding the fixed rate, what would be your expectation of an interest rate under a fixed rate scenario?
Thank you, President. So for a fixed rate conversion, right now, we're looking at about a 384. So just slightly above where we are right now on the proposed refinancing. However, it's very minimal when you look at it together. Now, I think the important thing to really think about is that when you lock it, you're really locking it for like 10 years. So if you wanted to do anything in that time frame, you can't. With the other scenario, you have that ability to look at the interest rates. I will say that normally short-term interest rates tend to be lower than high and like longer interest rates. And so right now we're just at a very different market where short-term interest rates are pretty much the same as long-term interest rates. So if we just give it some time, in the next couple of years, you can go ahead and refinance.
And then my last question, as far as future forecasting, then, the expectation from the market, I mean, we're going up right now, there's no doubt. What is the 2 5-year expectation where the market's going to go with respect to interest rates?
It's a great question, and I wish I could tell you, I don't, you know, if I had a crystal ball, I would love to be able to tell you that. However, I think just from the discussions, from everything that's out in the news, I could tell you. So the last year, we've seen 10 interest rate hikes, right? And right now, for 2023, we might see another 2 or 3. In June, which the FOMC meets next week, there is an expectation, about 70% expectation, that we're going to remain steady, okay? With that said, though, there might be a couple rate hikes by the end of this year. The economists out there are thinking that probably in 2024, we're going to start seeing short-term interest rates come back down. However, you know, it's anybody's guess exactly when. I think we just kind of need to let some of this just kind of pass within a year or two, and I think we should be back to some of the normal levels that we've been used to in the past couple of years.
I have another question.
Okay, let me just ask one last one. I have it back there. So just in terms of dollars, you already told us $800,000 at about 5% would be our interest. At 3.8, what would that be?
So
terms of
it
dollars.
would be, and I have that up there. So it's about $770,000. So, you know, that's about $40,000 less.
Okay, that's good for me, Ms. Hernandez.
My question was regarding the project itself. Do we know how much longer it's going to take for them to finish this project?
I would say that if you recall, we brought to the board the final, you all approved the final contract and the vendor. So they have launched work on that project. I can add that to the pending list so we can give you an anticipated date of completion.
I was just curious, but we would have to vote today for this though, right? Yeah.
Okay, there being no other questions at this point, I'll ask for a motion.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to
Second.
approve by Mr. Arboli, second by Dr. Acevedo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There didn't look like any opposition. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It is now 2:20 PM. We will now adjourn this special board meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.